My name is Henry. I am 45 years old. For 30 years I was a ghost in this city. I slept on the hard concrete. I ate food from the trash. I was a homeless man with no future and no family. But today, I wear a clean suit. I have a desk with my name on it. I have a secret. A piece of bread and a cardboard box saved my soul. I never thought my life would start in a deadly winter snowstorm. I don't remember much about being a child. I only remember the biting cold. My parents were very poor. We lived in a small, broken hut. When I was 8 years old, my father took me to a busy bus station. "Wet here, Henry," he whispered. His voice was shaking. He gave me a small apple. "We will be back soon with food." I finished the apple slowly. I waited until the moon came up. Then I waited for 3 long days. I stood there until my legs felt like lead, but they never returned. I whispered to myself, maybe they forgot me. I felt so alone. I realized later, they were just too poor to keep me. I grew up in the shadows of the city. I learned to read from old, dirty newspapers I found in the street. I only finished the 1st grade. I felt ashamed of my life. I am stupid, I thought many times. But I had one strict rule. I never stole. I never hurt anyone. I wanted to be a good man, even if I was a hungry man. I spent my life working small, hard jobs. I carried heavy bags at the market. I washed cars until my back ached. But I always lost my place. I never had a real future. I never had a home. By age 44, I had nothing but a cardboard box and an old, thin coat. People looked at me with disgust. "Go away, you dirty man," they shouted. They didn't see my heart. They only saw my dirty skin. I walked the streets like a ghost. No money, no home, no hope. I felt like a protector. But I had no one to protect. Until that Tuesday night. The winter in New York was a monster that year. The snow was 2 feet deep. I sat alone in a dark, frozen alley. My stomach felt like it was eating itself. It was a sharp, biting pain. I found a small corner behind a bakery. The smell of fresh bread was everywhere, but I only had one dry, old piece of bread in my pocket. Suddenly, I heard a small, soft cry. It sounded like a wounded bird. I looked around the corner. A little boy, maybe 7 years old, was sitting near a dirty trash can. He was wearing only a thin red sweater. His skin was the color of ice. His hands were shaking violently. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. I moved closer to him. My heart was beating fast. "Are you lost, little one?" I asked softly. He looked at me with big, tearful eyes. "I can't find my daddy," he whispered. "It's too cold, mister. I want to go home." I looked at the long, empty street. I hoped for a miracle. Maybe a police car would pass by. I waited 1 minute, 5 minutes, but the street remained empty. Everyone was inside their warm, bright homes. They were safe. I felt a deep sadness in my chest. "Don't cry," I told him, trying to be strong. "I will help you. We will wait here for the sun together." "You are safe now," I thought to myself. Maybe everything will be okay. But then the weather changed quickly. The wind became stronger and louder. It was a blizzard now. The snow hit my face like tiny stones. "I'm so hungry, mister," the boy whispered. He looked so small and weak. I looked at my dry bread. It was my only food. My body was shaking from hunger and cold. I thought about my own empty stomach, but then I looked at his blue lips. I knew what I had to do. I broke the bread into 2 pieces. Then I gave it all to him. "Eat this," I said. "Eat will give you strength." I watched him eat every crumb. I felt my own stomach burn with pain. "I can survive this," I whispered to myself. I felt a heavy responsibility. I remembered being an 8-year-old boy at that bus station. I knew how it felt to be forgotten. No family, no home, no help. But this time, I wouldn't let him be alone. I pulled the boy close to the brick wall. I opened my large cardboard box. It was my only bed and my only treasure. "This is our castle," I joked. He looked at the old cardboard and smiled just a little. "A castle." "Yes," I said, "and I am your guard. No one can enter our castle." I put him inside the box. I took off my old, thin coat and wrapped it tightly around his shoulders. I sat in the snow right at the entrance. I was a shield of flesh and bone. The wind hit my back over and over. It felt like ice needles pressing into my skin. I took a deep sigh. My body was numb, but my heart felt full. The darkness was everywhere. I knew I couldn't sleep. If I slept, the cold would take us both. I had to stay awake. I had to be his shield against the monster of winter. I whispered his name, Leo, to stay busy, but my eyes were getting heavy. The world started to spin. I must stay awake, I thought to myself. Sai cannot fail him. The night was endless. I bit my lips until they bled just to stay awake. I sang old songs in my head to forget the ice in my bones. I knew if I closed my eyes, I wouldn't wake up. Suddenly, around 6 a.m., bright lights hit my face. I blinked, blinded. Blue and red lights danced on the snow. Sirens screamed. A tall man in a long black coat ran toward us. He looked terrified. His face was pale and wet with tears. "Leo! Leo!" he shouted. I tried to stand up, but my legs were frozen. They felt like heavy stone. I fell hard into the cold snow. I couldn't move. The man saw me. He saw a dirty, scary man sitting over his son. "What did you do to him?" he yelled. His voice was full of anger. He pushed me hard. My body was weak and numb. I hit my head on the hard brick wall. Everything went gray. I took a slow, painful breath. The world was spinning around me. "Daddy." Leo's voice broke the silence. He jumped out of the cardboard box. The man grabbed Leo, checking his face. "Are you okay? Did he hurt you?" Leo grabbed his father's shaking hand. "No, Daddy. He saved me," he cried. "He gave me his bread. He gave me his house." He didn't sleep, Daddy. He watched the wind for me. The father, Mr. Sterling, stopped moving. For a long moment, everything was quiet. He looked at the wet, broken cardboard box. He saw my old, dirty coat on Leo's shoulders. Then he finally looked down at me. I was lying in the deep snow. I was wearing only a thin white shirt. My skin was a pale, scary blue. I was shivering so hard my teeth were clicking together with a sharp sound. My hands were shaking, and I could not feel my feet anymore. I felt the cold trying to pull me into a dark sleep. But I looked at Leo. I saw he was warm. I saw he was alive. I managed to give him a tiny smile. You are safe now," I whispered. My voice was so weak, I could barely hear it. If I kept my promise, I whispered to myself. Mr. Sterling's face changed instantly. The anger in his eyes was gone. I saw deep shame and regret. He was a billionaire, a very powerful man. But at that moment, he looked very small. Tears ran down his face and fell into the snow. He quickly took off his heavy, expensive wool coat. He knelt in the snow and wrapped it tightly around my cold body. I felt the heat hit my skin, and I took a deep sigh. "I am a fool," he sobbed, holding me close. "I am so sorry. I am so sorry." He picked me up from the ground. I was very light, like a dry leaf in the wind. I didn't have any strength left to move. "Call the ambulance!" he shouted to the police officers. "He is a hero. Treat him like a hero." I felt the incredible warmth of his coat. I felt the warmth of his tears falling on my face. I thought about the bus station when I was 8 years old. I thought about being alone for 30 years. But now, for the first time, someone was holding me. I wasn't a ghost anymore. I was finally a human being. I closed my eyes and let the silence fill my heart. I was safe too. I woke up in a bright, warm hospital room. The sheets were white and soft. For the first time in many years, I was not cold. Mr. Sterling didn't just give me money and walk away. He came to see me every single day. He brought me fruit and books. One afternoon, he sat quietly by my bed. He looked at me with deep respect. "Henry," he said softly, "I owe you my son's life. I know you had a very hard childhood. I know you don't have a high school diploma, but that night in the snow, I saw your true heart. I saw your incredible sense of responsibility. You stayed at your post when it was 10 degrees below zero. You protected Leo like he was your own son." He leaned in closer to me. "I want to offer you a job. I want you to be the security guard for my flagship bakery. You will have a private room, a steady salary, and a clean uniform." I felt a heavy lump in my throat. Tears ran down my face and onto the white blanket. I thought about my dirty cardboard box in the alley. "Is this really happening?" I whispered to myself. I looked at my rough, scarred hands. "But I can't write well, sir," I told him. "I only finished the first grade. I am not a smart man." Mr. Sterling just smiled and patted my hand. "We will teach you to read and write, Henry. But responsibility, that cannot be taught. You already have it in your soul." I took a deep sigh and closed my eyes. For the first time, I knew my future was safe. My first day as a security guard was the proudest day of my life. I stood tall in my bright blue uniform. It was crisp and smelled like fresh laundry. I looked in the mirror and I felt so proud. I didn't look like a ghost anymore. I opened the heavy glass door for every child. I smiled at every stranger. I wanted everyone to feel safe. I worked harder than anyone. I arrived an hour early to check the building. I stayed an hour late to help the cleaners. I will never lose this chance, I whispered to myself. I started taking night classes at the community center. I felt very nervous sitting with younger students. I learned to use a computer My thick, rough fingers moved slowly on the keys. I learned to write official security reports. I knew I had to catch up on 40 years of lost time. I thought about how much I had missed in life. One cold afternoon, a man tried to steal a bag of flour. His eyes were wide and full of fear. I didn't shout. I didn't call the police. I walked over and saw his shaking hands. "I was where you are," I said quietly. I knew that hungry feeling in the stomach. I felt his pain in my own chest. Instead of calling the police, I gave him a job cleaning the back alley so he could buy some food. I thought of how many times I had needed a second chance. Mr. Sterling saw everything on the security cameras. He didn't say a word, but I saw him smile through the window. I took a deep sigh and I knew I was finally home. 5 years have passed. Time moves very fast when you have a real purpose. I am no longer standing at the bakery door in the freezing wind. Today I am the district security manager. I manage 20 brave people. Every morning I look in the mirror and tie my black tie with steady fingers. Yesterday, Mr. Sterling called me into his large, bright office on the top floor. He looked at me with a very proud smile. "Henry, you've reached the limit of this role," he said. "You have learned so much. I want you to move to the corporate office downtown. I want you to manage our new charity program for the homeless." I froze. I looked down at my hands. They were no longer dirty, cracked, or gray. They were clean and strong. "Me, sir. A corporate manager," I whispered. I felt a heavy lump in my throat. I thought about my old life. I thought about reading dirty newspapers on the sidewalk. I knew how far I had come. "Henry," he said firmly, "you protected one little boy in the snow when you had absolutely nothing. Now I want you to protect thousands. You understand their struggle better than anyone else." I went home to my quiet apartment that night. I have a soft bed. I have a kitchen full of food. I still keep that old brass key to my very first bakery locker in a small box. I looked at it and I felt a warm peace in my soul. I knew I was a new man. I am no longer the abandoned boy from the bus station. I am the man who protects the night. I took a deep sigh and smiled. I was finally home. I realized that true education is found in your heart, not just in books. Kindness is like a tiny seed. If you plant it in the freezing cold, it will grow into a great forest. Never judge a person by their dirty clothes, I thought to myself. Sometimes a real hero is hiding under an old, broken coat. Henry's journey proves that character is the true foundation of success. Today we often focus on degrees, but values like responsibility and empathy matter most. First, Isar's reliability is your best ability. Be the person others can always depend on. Second, is choose lifelong learning. It is never too late to gain new skills, even if you start with nothing. Finally, use your past to fuel your purpose. Your struggles can help you understand and help others. Look for the Henry in your life today. Their potential may be hidden behind a rough exterior. Remember, a good heart is the best qualification. Have you ever helped a stranger when you had very little? Comment heart below if you believe kindness can change the world. Please like and subscribe for more emotional stories. Thank you for watching, and may your heart always be warm. Goodbye.